Okay, so I said that we are going to do this kind of clustering on the training set and the testing set. And uh, so let's do that. So here I have these, I've clicked this applied test set, and I click set, and I click open file, find that data set, and that is the test set here, and click OK. OK. Now, so let's try it. Just reviewing this again. This is OK. So I'll click Start. OK, and it's finished. All right, now, so let's see what we can do here. First of all, I'm going to right-click on the results here and visualize cluster assignments. And then I'm going to click Save here. And I think I've done this before. What it does is it adds the cluster to the data set. So now we not only have the record, but we have what cluster it belongs to as well. So let's see what happens when we do that. Let's click Save, and let's put it in the same folder, and let's call it, what should we call it? This one is actually the test added cluster. Okay, so let's save it like that and close this, and let's see what we got. So here's the test added cluster. What did we get? So we have the same stuff here. Well, actually, this is new also, but this is what we had before, starting from here down to here. The important thing that got added here is this. I only clustered it into two groups. That's not what I meant to do. I'm going to redo this. Anyway, just to see this, you can see that now each record has the same data that it had before, but then it has a new variable, the cluster, and it's which cluster it belonged to. Okay? And it also added this, which I don't actually want in there either. But, I mean, I don't want that in there. But anyway, so that's what it did. Let me go back and do this again. Here. No, here. But let me click this again, choose k-means. I forgot to change this to something like 8 clusters. So I'll do that. And then just click OK. And do the same thing again. Start. It's finished. Right-click on here. Visualize cluster assignments. This is one way to get that added variable, the cluster, into it. And you click Save here. And that does it. I don't know why. That's just one way you can do it. So I want to give it the same name. Test added cluster. Save. I think it didn't work. What happened? What did we get there? Let's see if it worked. Maybe it worked. Maybe it didn't. Let's see. Yeah. And now we have 8 different clusters that have been added. The appropriate cluster is added to each record. Okay, so that worked. Now, how many records are in here? 1241 minus, well, there aren't really 1241 because there was some stuff at the beginning. But anyway, this file has 1241 lines in it, right? Let's just check something. Let's look at the training and the testing. How many lines do they have? So the training has 1210. The testing has 1239. So basically the same as the other one, 1241. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that this new file here with the added cluster comes from this file. Okay, we've added clusters to this file, to the test file. Okay, but these clusters, as I was trying to explain before, the clusters are actually generated from the training file, and then what this is telling me is, let's see if I show this, maybe it's a little clearer. What this is telling me is that the first record, for example, here, this is in my, up here, in my testing data, right? But the first record in my testing data belongs to cluster 7. What cluster 7? This is cluster 7 of the training data. In other words, the training data was clustered into whatever, 8 different clusters, and then this record happens to be closest to those records in the training data set which were in cluster 7. So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, this one is closest to cluster 7 in the training data. Okay? All right. So now we have we have that. Now what I also want to have is the actual clusters for the training data, which I don't have yet. I only have for the testing data. So in order to do that, I'm going to click here. So I'm not going to use the supplied test set anymore. I'm not going to supply the testing data. And here, just to explain this, if I click here, you see the seed? The seed is going to be the same, which means that's kind of like a random starting place. And since we're starting at the same random place, it's not really random, but since we're starting at the same place, we're going to generate the same clusters that we generated last time. Okay, so I'm going to just do that, but I'm only using the training set. I'm not doing anything with the testing set anymore. So now I'll just do the same thing again. Click Start, and here are the results. Like cluster 0 has 16% of the data, cluster 1 has 8% of the data, and so on. And I can do the same thing that I did before. Right-click on this and visualize cluster assignments, and up here save. And now I'm going to get the cluster assignments, and this is going to give it to me for the training data. So let's try that. Save. Go back to here and here, and I'll give the same kind of name. This is train added cluster, and save it. Okay, now if I went back and checked that, you'd see that it has basically the same number of records as the training data. So it is the training data. So you can just click here just to see what it did. It did the same thing. It added these clusters. It's kind of weird that they're all cluster 1, cluster 3. Why is that? No, they're not all so clear. Okay. Okay, so it's okay. Okay, so now we've done that. Well, what do we have to do next? So we did some of these steps. We did the filtered clustering, removing attribute 8 with the remove filter. We did the visualize and saved, the test, and then did the same thing. Okay, we did that. Okay, now I'm going to choose cluster 6. Well, why cluster 6? Let's see. Here's the previous clustering. Cluster 6 had about 12% of the records. This is in the testing data set. So about 12% of the records were there. So I'm going to choose just cluster 6. By the way, in the training data, there were 19%. But anyway, So I'm only going to focus on, I want to only focus on cluster 6. I want to choose records only that are in cluster 6 in the training data and use those to predict the results in the testing data. Sorry, how do I say this? I want to take the records in cluster 6 and build a model from the training data and then use that model to predict, but only predict for records that are in cluster 6 in the testing model. Okay. So how do I do this? Now we will choose cluster 6 from both sets by doing what? Open the add when we added the cluster, and we want to remove each time. Okay, let me stop here and come back.